Let's get after it. Tonight, we bring you a story that sounds like fiction, but it's all too real. In Alaska, America's last wild frontier, a major airport was brought to a standstill. Not by weather, but by a chilling, deliberate act. Flights grounded, gates locked, and a message: something has gone terribly wrong. This wasn't just a local disruption, it was a national security event, exposing a vulnerability we thought was behind us. An airport is more than runways. It's a symbol of freedom and connection. When it's paralyzed, fear spreads fast. The shutdown at Ted Stevens Anchorage International sent shockwaves far beyond Alaska. Our advanced systems prove susceptible to human-driven threats. The real question: how did this happen? And why here? Anchorage is a critical hub for both passengers and global cargo, suddenly sealed off. Federal agencies swarmed the scene, treating it as a breach in the nation's armor. Tonight, we break down what happened, talk to those who lived it, and ask what's being done to make sure it never happens again. Let's get into the details. Where did this unfold? Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport, ANC. This isn't a small airstrip. It's Alaska's main gateway and a global cargo powerhouse. Its location, halfway between North America and Asia, makes it one of the world's busiest cargo airports. Every day, jets from FedEx and UPS refuel and exchange goods here, keeping the global supply chain moving. Shutting down ANC isn't just an inconvenience. It disrupts billions in trade and isolates remote Alaskan communities. For many, air travel is a necessity, not a luxury. The airport is a lifeline, connecting isolated towns to the world. When ANC closed, thousands were cut off, and the ripple effects were global. The decision to ground every flight signaled a threat so severe it outweighed the massive collateral damage. On July 26, 2025, the airport's constant motion stopped cold. The very thing that made ANC vital, its role as a connector, made it a prime target. The attackers aimed at the heart of Alaska's connection to the world. For a frightening period, they succeeded. This is where our story unfolds. What actually happened? The details are disturbing. The incident began in the air, with a drone. But not just any drone, a military-grade UAV. It was detected flying dangerously close to a passenger jet on final approach. Then, it got worse. A swarm of drones, moving in coordinated patterns, created their own no-fly zone. These UAVs intercepted and harassed aircraft, forcing pilots into evasive maneuvers. Air traffic controllers watched in disbelief as their screens filled with unidentified objects, moving with precision. The Climax 1 drone released a cloud of metallic chaff, blinding radar and creating chaos on control screens. Controllers lost situational awareness. They were flying blind. The system broke. The airport was forced to shut down. Pilots described the drones as a ballet of menacing hornets, moving with unnatural speed. The immediate danger mid-air collision. The secondary total compromise of safety systems. The attackers didn't need explosives. They used technology to turn safety systems against us. In minutes, they created a zone of pure, unmanageable risk. This was a calculated technological assault. While chaos reigned in the sky, confusion erupted on the ground. Sarah Jenkins, a tourist, recalls, "All the screens went blank. Then the announcement, all flight operations suspended indefinitely." Armed guards appeared, and fear replaced annoyance. Airport staff, caught off guard, faced terrified passengers with no answers. A gate agent described a Code Sierra lockdown procedure, a code they'd never seen. Federal agents swarmed, taking over control points. Staff managed crowds, feeling as lost as the passengers. Outside, truck drivers saw planes making hard banks, sirens blaring, and gates locking. The busiest cargo hub in the country fell silent. Rumors spread. Was it a bomb, a crash, or something worse? The truth was more sophisticated and frightening. Heavily armed federal agents established a perimeter, confirming this was no drill. People huddled, whispering, trapped inside Ground Zero. The lack of information fueled dread. For those inside, it was a surreal, terrifying ordeal. The threat was real, and they were caught in the middle. The response was swift and overwhelming. Airspace control shifted from the FAA to the military under Skatana Protocol, a rare, serious move. NORAD took charge, treating the skies as a potential war zone. On the ground, DHS and FBI tactical teams took over, turning the airport into a federal crime scene. Their top priority: find the drone operators, believed to be nearby. Agents used electronic warfare to jam signals and triangulate the source, launching a high-tech manhunt. Officials kept details quiet to avoid tipping off the perpetrators. Behind the scenes, the White House and National Security Council monitored the crisis, fearing copycat attacks nationwide. The federal response was a show of force: contain the crisis and send a message, you crossed a line. Thousands were trapped inside, transformed from travelers to hostages of circumstance. Hours passed in limbo with little information and growing anxiety. Parents comforted children, the elderly worried about medication. Concession stands ran out of supplies, Wi-Fi crawled, and people formed makeshift communities. Staff handed out blankets and tried to keep order, becoming counselors and anchors in the chaos. Exhaustion set in as people tried to sleep on benches and luggage. Announcements offered little comfort. For everyone inside, it was a lesson in vulnerability. Caught in a 21st century conflict, their lives disrupted by an invisible enemy. The airport became a pressure cooker of fear and uncertainty. 18 hours later, a breakthrough. FBI and police raided a warehouse, arresting 2 suspects and seizing drone equipment. The immediate threat was over, but reopening the airport was a slow, methodical process. Security teams swept every inch for secondary threats. NORAD and FAA recertified the airspace. Test cargo flights took off first, ensuring systems were safe. Only then did passenger flights resume, greeted by applause and relief. But it was a new normal: heightened security, heavy law enforcement presence. Authorities reassured the public but urged patience and vigilance. The airport operated on a reduced schedule, working through a backlog of stranded passengers and cargo. The global supply chain slowly recovered. The ordeal was a stark reminder of how fragile our systems can be. The Anchorage incident changed everything. Airports nationwide are now fast-tracking counter-drone technologies, radar, jammers, and interception systems. Security perimeters are tighter, with more patrols and warnings about drone activity. Passengers are urged: if you see something, say something, including drones near airports. Intelligence sharing between agencies has increased, targeting a wider range of threats. The attackers weren't foreign terrorists, but a small, skilled domestic cell, forcing law enforcement to adapt. The goal: stop attacks before they happen. For travelers, expect new security layers and be patient. They're there to protect you. Just as 9/11 changed terminal security, Anchorage is changing airport perimeters. The freedom to fly safely now demands constant vigilance and adaptation. Why does a drone attack in Alaska matter to you? Because it was a proof of concept. A handful of people, with the right tech and wrong intentions, held a critical hub hostage. No bullets, no bombs. Other bad actors were watching. Are our security protocols keeping up with technology? Drones are cheaper, smarter, and more accessible than ever. Defenses must be agile. Threats can come from any direction, especially above. This is a shift in the security paradigm. But it's also a story of resilience. Controllers, staff, law enforcement, and passengers all adapted and endured. The system bent, but didn't break. The lesson: vigilance is key. Security is a journey, not a destination. It takes technology, intelligence, and cooperation from everyone. The Anchorage attack was a wake-up call. The stakes are too high to ignore.